start off, we're gonna celebrate Mason Alexander's life on Saturday as well. Our thoughts and prayers have been with him for a long time, and it's our opportunity to go out and play for his family. His mother will be at the coin toss. His family will be here. They'll have a lot of people here, and it's an opportunity for our kids to, just kind of show, Mason and the family what we've done since he's left us. So, but again, excited about this football game. Jerry Schmidt, heck of a football coach, obviously going on his 21st. I think I've been here a long time. 21 seasons anywhere in the country is unbelievable. Duquesne's got a really good football team, well coached. Obviously, Pittsburgh tough with a bunch of Pittsburgh guys. And, those guys will come into Acrisure Stadium, cranked up, and they'll play their best game of the year without a doubt. So we expect that. Offensively, they're talented. They do a nice job. They got a kid named Rydell as their quarterback, I believe. I haven't seen it too deep yet. I'm not sure if you guys have or you guys got inside, but we expect him to be the starting quarterback. He's a gunslinger. He can throw it. He's a competitor. This is his third school. He was at East Tennessee, I believe, and Gardner-Webb. When he was the starting quarterback at East Tennessee, he led victory over SEC powerhouse Vanderbilt. So he's made plays. He's played in a lot of football games. They got a great receiver and a kid named Joey Isabella, and his brother still plays in the NFL. Played receiver at UMass. Really good player. Isabella's a guy that we'll have to know where he is. They got a tailback named Butts. So 2, 5, and 0 are three guys to focus in on offense. But I think it all starts up front with their offensive line, across the board, tackle to tackle. They got 5 seniors up front, and they're pretty salty up front as well. I mean, they're an older team, and if you're going to have a strength with a transfer quarterback that can throw it, you want to have that front 4 or front 5 guys up front be ready to go. So and then defensively, very similar to what we are defensively. 4 down, 3 linebackers, going to play a 2 shell. We'll play some 1 high, but structurally a lot like we are, really, a lot of zone pressures. We expect a lot of zone pressures, which our defense is built for that. So our offense, has had a great look all fall camp. So we've got 19 practices in on that. Our guys had a little bit extra juice yesterday. I just think knowing that it's game week, we practiced yesterday afternoon, which you usually don't on a Sunday, but with coming out of camp on Friday and having a rehearsal scrimmage. So we're excited about what we've got. Again, going back to the defensive line, their D-line, again, they got a kid named Dunkley, who's a good player. I think he had 11 sacks a year ago. And then their back end, they got 3 experienced DBs back there, both safeties and CJ at corner. So they're talented, and it'll be a battle in Pittsburgh on Saturday at noon. Questions?
What did Jeff Percy do to solidify himself as the starting left tackle?
Oh boy, you're going to ask me about every starter. Jeff came in spring ball. Played really well. Just consistent, I would say, more than anything. Just shows consistency on a daily basis. He's done a nice job for us. We're excited to watch him come out and play his first game with that Pitt script on.
Pat, you guys these schools hadn't played each other since the 30s. What was the impetus to sort of have this game?
Our old athletic director asked, hey, would you be interested? I said, why not? They're right down the road. We can bring someone in from Youngstown or bring someone in from, Rhode Island. Why not take care of a school in state, let them have an opportunity to come play in their city, for their city. And, I think it's a great game.
Had it come up before that this was something?
Not that I know of. Again, I try to focus on football and recruiting. It's the last thing on my mind, who we get to play. But if I ask, I'm going to give my opinion. So we're excited. I think it's a heck of a game. Short trip for them. So it's good.
And following up on that, is it good for you guys too? Like, you could get any FCS school you wanted to come up and play you guys, but to have a school that might bring some fans, have some energy on their sideline, is that a good way for you guys to open up and meet that?
I'm not worried about the fans. I mean, that won't play a factor in the game. They don't play the game, but I just think it's great to play another team from Pittsburgh. Fans aside, I mean, I think it's an opportunity for another Pittsburgh school, and I got a ton of respect for Jerry Schmidt, and it's good for them. It's good for us. It's a short trip for them, so we're excited.
If the ACC were to go to 9 conference games, like some of the other leagues are doing or talking about doing, would this kind of game still happen, an FCS game, or would you end up dropping that from the schedule?
It's hard to say. If we did drop it, I think it hurts FCS ball. I'm a 1AA FCS guy. I know the Northeast Conference. I know all those teams that play in that conference. I know the Patriot League. I know the old Yankee, the Atlantic 10. All those conferences are really run by some of these games they get an opportunity to play. You want to call them a money game or whatever it is. I think it would hurt if that happens, and I think it's going to happen across the board throughout because we're going to try to play the best schedule we can. And I anticipate the ACC probably following along. We've talked in coaches' meetings about going to 9. The problem is for 5 or 6 teams in the conference, it'll be, Notre Dame will be 10. So you're playing 10 conference games. So that's the difference that nobody else in the country's got to deal with is Notre Dame because they aren't in a conference, but they kind of half are as far as playing games in this league.
Pat, what's your impressions on the NEC as a whole and where Duquesne fits into that?
I think it's a great conference. There's no bad conferences in the country. It's another FCS program. They got Robert Morris, which is again another city rival, I guess you could call it. I think it's a great league and it's building, and they continue to bring good talent in, and they got good players. Shoot, they had a linebacker go to Ohio State last year, so there's good football players all over the country. And I think Jerry and his staff do a great job recruiting and bringing talent in. They brought a bunch of transfers in. I don't know how many, 20. I think, 5 of their 6 linebackers are all guys we haven't seen tape on. So it's a typical opener, like, what are we going to get? What have they changed on offense? What have they changed on defense? Who is this 2025 team going to be? And they got the same, problem on their side. So, it's a great conference.
With Jake Overman ending camp at top of the depth chart at tight end, heading into the opener, are you envisioning that position and Overman as a guy who's going to see more the lion's share of snaps, or do you envision more of a rotation there with the other guys?
There'll be a rotation. We're going to keep those guys fresh. Obviously, when we're working tempo like we will, that tempo is going to go. And when we get a break in action, whether the ball's out of bounds or we want to sub guys, we're going to sub them in. But we feel really good with Holmes and Malachi. So, we got 3 guys I would probably consider starters in there. Jake will start it off and make plays, and then we'll move on from there. So we got, the beautiful thing is we have depth at that position, like we do a lot of positions. So you guys can look at that depth charts and the oars and all that. Oars are a good thing, but I feel good with our depth, going into this opener.
You had some competition in corner, but it was experience differentiating factor for Timon and Rashad and Rashad.
And Rashad, no doubt about it. They both played a ton of football for us last year. So, but you can have the experience and then go out there and play awful in fall camp and you'll be at the bottom of the depth chart. So you still got to come out just because you're a starter coming out of spring ball or out of, the 2024 season doesn't mean you're guaranteed a spot. So you got to go play. And those 2 guys have maturely gone out there and practiced and played hard in every scrimmage. So I think that's, that's why they're where they are. And like, Shadarian Harrison, I consider him another starter. He's a guy that's going to play a lot of reps and has just gotten better and better every year that he's been here, and he gets better by the month.
What did Blaine Spires do over the course of camp to start the season to earn that starting role to begin?
Him and Jaden Moore both really good, but Blaine has been really consistent. He's physical. He's tough. He knows what he's doing. He didn't get much spring ball, as you guys know, but what he's shown in fall camp, he can be a difference maker for us on defense. I'm excited to watch him play Saturday.
You have or for Sean Fitzsimmons or Nick James, in the starting defensive tackle roles. They played a lot last year next to each other. Did Francis and Isaiah just kind of set themselves apart?
I don't know if there's oars in there or not. I think there are. That means they're all starters. We feel good with all those guys. And really who starts in that game will depend on how they practice this week, right? They're going to practice, they practiced yesterday and they all practiced well. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will determine who gets the start, but they're all going to play probably an even amount of snaps. They're all going to come out of there with 25, 30 snaps depending on how many plays we have. If it's a 60-play game, we expect to keep those guys fresh so they can play fast and be active with their feet.
How have you seen Francis grow from last year to this year?
Big growth. He's a guy that can push the pocket. He's big. He's strong. He's like a Mack truck in there. He's going to take guys back in the pocket of the quarterback, which I think is huge. If you got good pressure from the ends and you can push the pocket inside, which I'm not sure we had that push a year ago. I know with what he's shown, like he's got the ability to push the pocket and get sacks. And you don't normally have a guy like that. But all those guys can do that. But he's a strong dude that can put people on their seats.
Pat, you've talked a lot about depth today and all through training camp. Are you feeling just as good about the depth as you were at the beginning of training camp now that you've seen everything to now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're going to find out on game day, but depth, and you never know until you get to have an opponent, and then you're really not going to know until you play a Power 4 opponent. So you really find out then who's stepping up and who's game ready. Playing against each other for so long, I think that's the beautiful thing about openers. We don't know what they're going to do. They don't know what we're going to do. I think Coach Bates and Coach Bell do a great job game planning, and so we'll see a little difference there. But we'll find out when the dust settles on Saturday afternoon.
You have two true freshmen as backups in the secondary. We heard a lot about Josh, Gary Air, but what did Sean Lee specifically do to secure that spot?
Yes, he is. Sean is a football player. His dad played ball. I think his dad coached him for a long time in high school. So he's not just a freshman coming from a program that didn't coach football. So I give his dad a lot of credit for how he came prepared. And then Coach Collins and Coach Sanders have taken it from there. I just think he's a football player. And again, we're going to find out. He's a young guy that we're not afraid to put out on the field and find out what he's got. But we feel good with the corner depth as well.
And now that you're through camp, did you get what you were looking for from Eli as far as leadership, on the field performance, all of that stuff?
No question about it. I mean, and again, game day will show it all, right? But leadership, I think he's coming a long way. Because last year I think he was just worried about being the starting quarterback at this point, and then just doing his job. And I told him the same thing. I just still want you to you got to focus on quarterback. You're already the leader. You don't need to be a captain. No one needs to put an L on your shirt saying you're a leader. He is the leader of our offense. Period. And he's got Cooper there as a captain, and Overman and Des Reed standing next to him or behind him. So I'm happy with where Eli is, and can't wait to watch him play. Can't wait to watch everybody play.
How do you feel about the offensive line this time this year compared to last year, and what do you need to see from them?
Well, we need to see him execute, right? I mean, need to identify, block the right people. But I feel better about this offensive line. Probably the top 5 guys this year and last year. I feel the same. I felt really good going into last year's opener with the starting 5, but I think we have more depth. We have more guys that are prepared to go in there and take care of business than we did a year ago. So, the depth at that position, which was our goal coming out of last season, was we got to build the depth there. We got to go find some guys that can come in and help us play and continue that development there.
You said Duquesne's defense is a lot like yours. Their coordinator's obviously a guy who spent a few years here. Do you see your influence and sort of your structure? Do you see them trying to do a lot of the things you guys did here?
Yeah, I see them trying to do a lot of what we do. Obviously, they're going to play their 3 deep, 2 under, which is a trademark of what we do. Playing a lot of quarters, and they trust their guys to play coverage like we do. I'm sure they'll play some man free, and we anticipate a lot of cover 3 as well. So, which they haven't done a ton of, but we're practicing a lot of that as well. So, there's a lot of things that show up. Mickey's a good football coach and does a nice job. Pittsburgh guy who will be excited to come back to Acrisure Stadium.
You mentioned their linebacker that ended up going to Ohio State. They had a running back that jumped to Wake. In your time, what have you noticed about kids that make the move up to FBS from FCS after they've played in the FCS for a little while? And the converse of that, maybe guys that go down to FCS that thrive when they leave an FBS program. What do you notice to be the defining characteristics as to why those moves make sense for some kids?
Yeah. I think everybody's looking for the stars and go play in a big atmosphere. I would say this. I'd say a lot of those FCS kids, and we've had a couple of them here that have really done well. I don't care if it's Division II player or 1AA. They come hungry. They got more tools, and are able to come in and play. So I think it's a good thing. There's a lot of places. The other thing I'll just say, is if they're not playing, they're there for depth, right? So I don't know how. I don't know what the percentage of guys that leave FCS to go to Power 4 are going to go in and start, but they provide depth, which obviously, we've talked a lot about depth here today. Depth is important. If you lose somebody, you got a guy that has played football before.
There's a lot of options in the receiver room, but a name that doesn't pop up here is C.J. Lee. What caused him to maybe not be on the 2 deep?
CJ's still recovering, but CJ could be in the 2 deep. I just said leave him off. But CJ, could play in this game if we need him to, if we want him to. So CJ is available, okay? And, we're just going to be safe and smart with him because he was, a starter a year ago, in our opinion, and he's back to maybe 99%. We're just going to be sure. Chris Hanks has done a nice job monitoring him and making sure that we don't go too fast because he's way ahead of schedule. He was behind schedule in January, and he has worked his tail off. We thought probably in the summer he was going to be ready by October. He's ready in September for sure.
You have Bukowski taking field goals and point after. Do you have Carpenter on kickoffs? What went into this?
Just watching him kick. One guy's going to kick it to the goal line. One guy's going to kick it 5 yards deep. So it comes down to that. And again, that can change in an instant. And again, there's still a battle going on at kicker. Bukowski's the guy to start off with, and we got a lot of confidence him and Sam Carpenter. So I'm excited for both of them. They're both going to have their chance to go out in a game and execute and see what they can do with their legs. Kicker questions, I love it.
Pat, some kids on their roster probably, when they were in high school, probably hope they maybe end up here, right? That's just sort of how it goes, right? Do you sort of, when you say we're going to get their best game, is that part of it? You get a sense that some of those kids are going to show that, hey, you guys made a mistake by picking guy X over us?
There's no doubt about it. Like I said, they will play their best game. They will be cranked up. They get to go play in that stadium, whether they play there in high school in the Whitfield Championships or they're getting their chance. This is their championship game. It's their opportunity to come out and show who they are and no doubt prove some people wrong.
What do you do to make sure that your guys have give this game maybe the level of attention that it needs? They'll figure that out real quick if they don't, because they'll get hit in the mouth. They're physical. They play, they play hard. They play tough. So, we need to go out and do what we do. We need to focus on us to start off with, right? I'm not worried about who we're playing against. It's about what we do, how we do it, and just starting off on the right foot here on Saturday.
You got a lot of guys who probably have high school teammates on the other side. I'm sure guys see each other in Pittsburgh. It's a little easier maybe to get your guys up for a game where they know who they're facing as opposed to some Southeast Louisiana state you could bring in where nobody knows anybody.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope that doesn't really matter who's on the other side. It's a different color jersey, different helmet, and different faces underneath those helmets. So I don't think it really matters. It doesn't matter to me. So I don't think our guys haven't talked about can't wait to play against Joe. I played against him in high school like that. That really hasn't come up.
Do you have a quote on how much of your roster you'd like to see the field on Saturday?
No, I want to go out and win a football game and rotate as necessary. So.
How has Dez evolved from where he was a year ago? Obviously just a fantastic year, but he's talking about wanting to do even more. So I'm sitting there thinking, what more can the guy do?
It's a fact. If he just maintains, I'll be happy, Will. If he just maintains what he did and, he's had a great camp. I think probably what he's done more of is leading. He's, people look up to him. Obviously, he was named captain last week, so people look up to him. And again, it's his attitude that he has every day. You love all your players. That guy, he's special. He's special in the classroom. He's special on the field. He's special everywhere.
Do you have to sort of be look, he isn't a dynamic player, but his size is still his size, right? Do you have to, early in the season, in games where maybe you should, in theory, do okay, whether he excels or not? Do you have to look for opportunities to maybe protect him, or is it just we're going to let the guy go until,
We're going to let him go, and we're going to let him go play football. That's what he loves to do. As soon as you start trying to protect people is when they get hurt. Dez is going to go. He's tough. He loves to play, and he's going to go out and play his best game.
Couple more.
Is Cole's experience in Kate's system why he is listed as QB2 over Mason?
Probably, but I feel good with Mason going in the game as well. He's still young, but both those guys, we feel good with. So, and at some point during the season, we're going to probably need both of them. So, they'll be ready. They study the game. They're smart, and it does help Cole that he knows that offense and has been in that offense before, without a doubt.
Jerry spoken highly about you and your relationship that you guys have built since you got the job here?
Where is he? I mean, he's supposed to be sitting. Oh, Jerry Schmidt. Okay. I thought you were talking about Jerry. I thought we were going to get to a Jerry question. Gotcha.
Why has it worked out so well between you guys on and off the field as coaches, peers, and why has it worked out so well for Jerry at Duquesne, do you think?
You know, Jerry's a class act. That's the first thing. So, I get along with him because he's just a steady guy. You know what you're going to get. And he's been over here at multiple camps. Even this summer, he's with us during camps. He's been to spring ball. He's been to fall. Yeah, I've probably never been to fall camp. But I just think he's a great person. He's a great coach. And it's worked out there because he's got continuity there. And he's done a heck of a job over there. I mean, without a question. 21 years, you've done a heck of a job.
Anything else?
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.